All right, it's movie retrospective time. Going back to 1986 to my teenage years.
Yeah, I was in high school at this time.
Yeah.
I saw this movie then. The Labyrinth.
Yeah, or just Labyrinth.
Labyrinth. It's not it's just Labyrinth.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's
just
we're gonna do Jim Henson's Labyrinth.
Doing a review. We got it the other day on Blu-ray Steelbook.
Yeah, check that shit out.
And this thing is
beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's kind of a metallic blue. There's nothing inside. There is some bonus features, but we're gonna do a review of the Blu-ray and the story, of course. We're gonna talk about the story.
Yeah, this was one of my favorite movies growing up. Like, I think I was 14 years old when it came out, which that's about the same age as Jennifer Connelly was when she was in this. I think she was 14 or 15.
Yeah, I was a couple years older. When I first saw this, I actually saw it to see David Bowie because I actually had all his albums.
Yeah.
And I had the tape of the music off of this, but I hadn't seen the movie. And I was like, man, the music's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, so it was kind of kid-like, but it was still Bowie doing what Bowie does, you know. And then I watched the movie. We saw it on VHS. I didn't see it in the theater.
I don't think I saw this in the theater either. I might have seen it like a year or two after it came out, when it came out on like HBO or something.
Seen it on Blu-ray? Man, it looks great.
It's a beautiful movie.
It looks very expensive. The puppetry, all it was done by Jim Henson, and just the way that it's shot and the way everything looks, it looks fantastic. Now, you can tell that some of the backdrops in the very backs are paintings and matte paintings, but it doesn't matter because the world is not supposed to look realistic in this movie anyway.
Yeah, it's a fantasy.
It's a fantasy, yeah. It looks really good.
And I have to say, I mean, really, as far as I'm concerned, like, Jim Henson can pretty much do no wrong. I mean, I love the Muppets. I love Fraggle Rock. Yeah. I still do, you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
I feel like this movie... And this is another one, this just, like, blows my mind. I didn't realize this at the time, I guess, because, like I said, I don't think I saw this in the theater. I think I saw it, like, a year later when it came out on cable. And I just loved the movie, like, immediately. But I didn't really realize that when it, you know, when it came to theaters, it was kind of a box office failure. Like, it cost $25 million to make, and it only made about half of its money back during its U.S. theatrical run. And it got, like, kind of... not that great reviews either, which that just, like, I'm just floored by that.
The standards were different then.
I guess.
They had high standards.
What the fuck were they thinking?
they took fantastic special effects and production values just kind of for granted back then. Everything was supposed to be very handcrafted. And so they were kind of used to it. And they were kind of used to good stories. So the competition was very stiff back then. When you put this up with something today, like maybe a Pixar film, I mean, this would win hands down, if you ask me. Because everything you're seeing is really there.
Yeah, I mean, the only things that they did CGI were like the owl, the barn owl at the beginning. That's
and it
CGI.
Doesn't look that good, really.
Well, and that, do you know that is actually the first ever, as far as I'm aware, the first instance of a realistic CGI animal in a movie.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be slightly mechanical, wasn't it? Or made out of crystal or something, the owl.
I thought he was supposed to look real, but then again, I might be getting it confused with Boobo from Clash of the Titans. Yeah, the little mechanical owl. We should do that movie, too. Yeah. I love that movie.
I'll tell you what, though, man. Jennifer was cute as hell. I mean, you know, when I first saw it, I was like, man, that girl's damn cute.
She's adorable in this movie.
She's in Alita Battle Angel. She's, like I said, just a few years younger than me, so she's your age.
Yeah,
she hasn't changed much. She's still cute.
Not really. I mean, she's aged very, very well. Yeah, because we were just watching Alita Battle Angel again, and I was like, man, she still looks good.
She has that same jawline, and I'll tell you what, the jawline is what gives your age away.
That's true.
And you know they're spending money. You know they're spending money on it.
That's their livelihood.
If you have money, you're going to spend money.
If you have money, you might as well get some nips and tucks, man.
Exactly.
I would if I had the money.
She looks great, though.
She really does.
Yeah.
And she's been in, like, such fantastic movies.
Yeah.
I think, as far as I know, this is her first one. You know what's weird? It was like, I'm reading the Wikipedia page about this movie, and it's like, apparently... Well, see, okay, now, the path this took, like, to get to the actual theater, it was like a 2 or 3 year process. I mean, like, the script went through, like, 25 different versions. It's like they were originally going to set it in, like, Victorian England, like it was going to be a Victorian England girl. There were some iterations where the Goblin King was, like, much more of a villain.
Yeah.
Or where he appeared to her like in a different guise of like someone that she knew, shit like that. They decided that in the end that they were going to make it like more, they thought it would make it more commercial and more relatable if it was like a modern American girl like going back into this fantasy world. But I thought it was interesting because like some of the actresses that tried out for this, and I'm like, wow, this really would have been different. Helena Bonham Carter, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah.
That'd have been weird. Who else? It was Ali Sheedy. That might have worked.
That would have worked, yeah.
That might have worked. There was a couple other ones that I thought were very strange that probably wouldn't have worked. Now, for David Bowie, like I said, it's kind of hard to...
Although Ali was a little old.
That's what I thought. I thought she was old because she was in...
She would have been a little old for that.
Yeah, because she was in all those John Hughes movies, right? And I think she was a couple years older than Jennifer Connelly. Now, Jennifer Connelly, I think, like I said, she's the same age as me. So she was 14 when this movie was made. Although she looks slightly older in the movie.
Especially
I think.
In the ballroom scene when she has all the makeup and the dress on. I was saying at the time, I said, boy, she looks a lot older right there. It says, if you would have told me that girl was 20, I'd believe you.
Yeah.
When she was made up. But then... You know, when she was...
See, that's what gets dudes in trouble sometimes.
Shit, fucking lock your ass up.
They will. She's 14 years old.
When this movie came out, I really didn't understand it, you know, as a 16, 17-year-old guy. A lot of this was kind of over my head, these little riddles and puzzles.
Yeah.
But now that I'm older, you know, as I got older, it was clearly a tale about... It's a coming of age tale. It's a warning to young girls about how to deal with these men.
Yeah.
And it's her and a bunch of her being surrounded by a bunch of unsuitable men. They're all unsuitable for her, and she's going through this story. Some of them are too old. One's little and feisty, but no strength. The other one's all strength, but he's friendly and he's dumb. You know, it's all the different kinds of men. You got Bowie, who's this. Supposedly kind of abusive, all-powerful rock star, super sexy motherfucker. He's like a king, but he's way too old for you.
Yeah,
you know
and he's super controlling.
And he's super controlling. He's got a bunch of women that you know that are waiting on him. So you young girl wouldn't have no power over him. Would have no power over him. You know, and that's what this story is about. I would actually recommend this movie to any woman who wanted to give this to her young daughter.
Yeah, this is really one of the best coming of age type stories.
How to deal with these dudes.
It's got kind of like I realized it at the time because you know I was a 14-year-old
girls realize shit. Guys don't realize.
Yeah, we got it. And it's like if you read like people that are the same age as me that saw this when it first came out, girls immediately got it. They knew exactly what they were talking about because there's like a not unsubtle undercurrent of sex in this.
Yeah.
And I think we're contractually obligated to mention David Bowie's junk.
Package, yeah. She's got this weird fantasy about David Bowie and me and David Bowie's pants.
Yeah.
And it's just this...
it's not going to come to pass now because David Bowie's
I can't understand it. No, God rest his soul.
I know, right?
And he was in his 40s when this movie came out, and he... Looking good, man. Looking like
he looked fantastic.
Looking like a rock star.
And
his heavy metal hair.
Yeah, I know.
And his Jareth outfit. His famous Jareth outfit.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, and it's funny because when I was talking about all the different actresses that tried out for the role of Sarah in this movie, like, I think Jim Henson from the beginning for the Goblin King role, he wanted a rock star.
Yeah.
I don't know if David Bowie was his first choice, but he had kind of a pool of possibilities, which also included Mick Jagger, Sting. He might have been all right.
Yeah, Sting would have done great.
Yeah, he would have, because he was in The Bride.
And he was also in Brimstone and Treacle.
That's right, he was in that too. Oh, we got to do that movie. That's a fucking awesome movie.
We're gonna do it. And he could sing and dance.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He would have been great in this. Although I'm glad that Bowie got this.
I did, yeah, me too.
Yeah,
because he has Sting is awesome, but Bowie's got that something.
Bowie's more sluttish
and more androgynous,
and more
which I think
motherfucker's a hoe.
Yeah, which I think worked a lot better for the role because, like I said, it's not unsubtle. There's a very there's a very strong sexual undercurrent to this.
Now, he is a closeted heterosexual. All right,
he said that. Yeah.
In his last video before he died, he goes backwards into the closet and he tell them I was always a closeted heterosexual.
It's like funny till the end.
He's fucking funny. Yeah, he went out like a rock star.
He
and everything.
really did.
He lived the life of a fucking rock star, even though he really didn't make his money in rock. He made his money in real estate. I mean, if you actually
a lot of them. So did Paul McCartney did too, I think, in art collecting.
Yeah.
If you're smart, you get into you diversify.
Yeah, but David Bowie did not have the ability to lose money. He knew how to make money, and he didn't make it with those records really.
Yeah.
Once he did that Let's Dance album, he had enough money in his pocket to become a multi-millionaire. I think they said that he was the richest the richest man in music, but he made almost none of that in music.
Yeah.
You know, I think
that makes sense.
I think the guy who made the most in music prior to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, he was another one that was considered for this role, which
that would have gone over like a fart in a spacesuit.
Yeah, I don't think that would have worked.
No.
Prince was another one that was
that would have worked.
That might have worked.
That would have worked.
That might have worked.
Probably.
Prince would have worked. Sting would have worked.
Yeah.
Mick Jagger might have worked.
He was old at this time.
He was even pretty old in 1986, or he looked old. I don't know if he was that much older.
It could have only been Bowie or Sting.
Yeah.
I was going to say maybe Adam Ant, but I don't think Adam Ant was really doing too well at that time. I don't think he had the star power. And he couldn't sing that well.
Yeah, that might have been interesting. Though.
He could act though.
He was in a lot of movies actually. Yeah. I saw a lot of movies that he was in. But yeah, so I was just trying to, like I said, I wouldn't change anything about this movie because I think it's perfect the way it is. Yeah. But I was just when I was reading about all the other actors, I was thinking, it's what would that have been like?
I think the reason why this really didn't make a bunch of money at the time and was kind of quickly forgotten was because I think they were comparing it to Legend. And visually, Legend kind of blows this away.
Although Legend, I don't think did very well either, did it?
No,
that had only come out the year before.
Yeah. There was a lot of movies like this coming out at this time.
Yeah, the 80s were kind of like fantasy.
So they were all stepping on each other's dicks, and I think timing was wrong for Labyrinth.
Maybe.
Had it come out a little early, or maybe much later, but Bowie's still that same age, it maybe would have done a little bit better. Another thing is it's also very hard to market a movie like this. This is a movie actually targeted at moms and teenage girls.
Yeah, it's kind of like a kids movie, but not
really.
It's kind of
it's a fake kids movie. It looks like a kids movie, but it's not really.
I mean, what they wanted to do, when they started working on this, and like I said, Jim Henson directed it. George Lucas also executive produced, and he worked on some of the script rewrites and stuff as well. And it was actually based on creatures and drawings and stuff by Brian Froud. And I think that a lot of the screenplay is written by Terry Jones of Monty Python fame. So, although a lot of other people had their fingers in the pie as well. But it's kind of like they had all done The Dark Crystal a year or two before, which did pretty well, but they said,
that movie's unwatchable to me now.
It turned out much darker than they had intended. And it's weird because I liked Labyrinth and The Dark Crystal about the same back in the 80s, but watching them now, I think Labyrinth has aged a lot better.
Yeah. Dark Crystal, the pace of that story is really fucked up.
Well, it's kind of, it drags a bit, and also there's a little bit of tonal whiplash because it's very, very dark, all the Skeksis and stuff, and they're all scary, and then they have
goofy
then they have that little goofy fizz gig, that little dog that yells all the time.
The voices become too much after about 15 minutes. You get sick of those damn Skeksis voices. It just gets me. This movie, I could watch this movie, once a week.
Yeah, I could watch this all day.
Especially
it's super fun.
This Blu-ray, you can see how good those costumes and those puppets and the sets look. I mean, they were really well made.
Yeah, they really worked on this for almost 2 years, building puppets and painting the sets and all this other kind of stuff. And it's and another thing too, and I guess, I realized this, but it didn't really hit home for me until I was watching some of the documentaries about it. They're you look at a character, the character of Hoggle, the little dwarf guy, and they're okay, well, there's there's a little person inside of that, a woman. Yeah. Her name is Sherry Weiser, I think was her name, and she's inside the suit, walking around and shit. But the face and the voice and everything that's for other dudes. Yeah. Out, over there, behind the camera. And they all have to work, in synchrony.
Yeah, and it looks more realistic to me than that original Yoda puppet from the old...
Yeah, it did.
These things look pretty real.
They do.
And the things that don't look real are supposed to not look real. It's kind of like you're in an amusement park. Like everything's got an amusement park tone to it.
Yeah.
It's a trip. And then another thing is that every part of this story has like an alternate message and a bunch of subliminal messaging.
Yeah, it has like a lot of symbolic stuff going on.
So the story is very well crafted, especially from a mythological point of view.
Yeah.
It has a lot of elements of, say, like religious tales.
Yeah, or like old Greek epics, like ancient Greek. Yeah.
I mean, the first thing she does when she arrives in the labyrinth, and she's in a labyrinth. Well, what kind of labyrinth is this? It's the world of adulthood. That's what they're talking about. That's what the labyrinth is. And what is she trying to find? She's trying to get this baby.
Yeah.
And there's all these guys involved. So it's all very symbolic. And as soon as she shows up, she can't tell in the maze. She goes, I don't know if I should go left or right. I guess it doesn't matter. And Huggles says, oh, you got a lot to learn. So the first thing they tell you in the story is, as a kid, you should know that your decisions matter.
Yeah.
That's what life is about. And then the first thing she meets is a worm who's nice to her. Asks her to come in and meet the missus, and he's got the kids. Symbolic of a married man he's satisfied. He's got nothing to offer her. She wants nothing from him. He's just kind of insignificant, and he can't help her. So then she keeps on going deeper into the labyrinth.
He does help her because she says there's no way into the labyrinth, and he said, you're not looking right.
That's right. He sent her the wrong way, though.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Well, yeah, but
had she gone that way, she would have gone right to the labyrinth.
To the castle.
Right to the castle. So,
but he did tell her to look at things
in a different
because
way.
She was just seeing it as a flat wall.
That's
but
right. He gave her some advice to live by. But then all of a sudden, there's all this weird shit like, wise man shows up and they ask him something and he doesn't know shit. So the moral of the story is, don't listen to these old fucks. Some people get so old they can't help you.
The bird on his hat was smarter than it was. Yeah, it's just stimulating being your head.
Yeah, everything has a lesson to teach a person, even an adult, really, because it reminds an adult of the lesson, and there's even warnings involved. In the very end, she gets a warning of, don't become a hoarder,
a bag lady,
hoarder.
Well, don't hang on to the past.
Yeah, because that's what happens to women that hang on to the past too long and live in the past, and they're not living in the present. They only care about the things from the past. All of a sudden, they're living in a damn hoard.
Yeah, you become like a cat, letting go of a cat lady.
Yeah,
well, there's nothing wrong with cats, but
they try to make her a hoarder.
Yeah, just like piling all the stuff on her.
It's because she failed. She failed with this Goblin King. This one, you have to see the movie. I don't want to.
Everybody's seen this movie. Come on, it's fucking Labyrinth.
Yeah, she goes to the club, and the Goblin King's there, and she's looking like a princess. But then there's all these other bad women who are lining up behind
and everybody's wearing masks and the noses look like big dicks and
they're
doing like shit. Like, look at the shit in the background. There's some sketchy shit
it's a lesson to her that don't think you're going to show up in a grown man's life like you're some kind of magical princess. This dude's got all kinds of other women and all kinds of other stuff that's been going on in his past. You know what I mean? So she's relative, and then it shatters like a.
Yeah.
She shatters so the illusion is shattered to this guy. So,
this is
cool.
something that, like I said, I was exact the same age as her, as she was when this movie came out, and it's something that a lot of teenage girls, because teenage girls, not all of them obviously, but a lot of them are kind of prone to like romanticism, and they get some like sweet sounding line from a guy and they'll like just go off and just ruin your whole fucking life.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. This is good because it's a cautionary tale. Because it's like, yes, David Bowie shows up in your house
with
like,
his fucking package,
with
old wad,
and his magical balls,
and his hair. Yeah, he's got balls in his pants and in his hand.
Exactly.
And he can do all this shit playing with his balls.
And he's like saying he's doing all this stuff for you.
Doing it for you.
And it's like,
and don't defy me, damn you.
Yeah,
he's
it's
the
like
abuse
pretty
of his
much
shit.
Yeah, and it's just like, so I think that's why like it's significant at the end when she finally remembers the line from the play, which is, "You have no power over me."
She realizes, oh, you know what? You ain't shit. You got no power over me. I can just leave. And
and that's exactly what she does. Well, because here's the thing,
she gets the baby.
Yeah.
She does get the baby, so
which
there's a fertility message.
Yeah, it's fertility. It's also responsibility, like adult responsibility.
Yeah.
Because that's something that she didn't want. She's got all these toys. She doesn't want to grow up. She's bratty. At the beginning, she's like, nothing's fair. Blah blah blah. Everybody hates me.
Yeah, she finds out real quick that nothing is fair.
Yeah, that's one thing that she learns in the Labyrinth too. She's like, because
a lot of adults need to start learning.
She's fighting with Hoggle, and she takes his shit away. She takes his family jewels away.
Takes his family jewels away. Yeah.
Like I said, everything is a sexual innuendo.
Here's the.
And then he says it's not fair, and she's like, "That's right, but that's just the way it is." And she's like, "Oh, I just figured that out."
Yeah, and the funny thing is that if you've ever seen this movie, it is suitable for young girls.
It is.
It's not. It's classy. It's not.
It's not sleazy or nothing.
It's not sleazy at all.
I mean, if you're not looking,
you have to read into it.
Not that hard, but you do have to.
An adult knows what's going on, and I think a teenager would. They're like, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I think I know what they're saying there. That's,
Yeah. That's,
yeah.
Now, I'm going to...
And a kid, a 10-year-old girl wouldn't get any of this, I don't think.
Maybe nowadays
Maybe half of it. Maybe today they would.
Now that we have the internet.
Yeah, that's true. They're growing up a little bit different.
And I have to tell you that there's 40 million jillion different theories about this movie. And some stuff that I didn't even realize this shit, but check it out. So they're talking about the first time that Sarah meets Hoggle. They're like, now the first time she meets him, what's he doing? He's peeing in a pond. He's standing there with his dick in his hand.
Yeah.
She's like, so... And also, they said that if you notice, they're like, it's really obvious when you know about it, but would just kind of pass you by if you weren't. But if you notice, the back of his jacket, it's got two faces on it. Because he's two-faced.
Okay, yeah.
Like Janice. You know what I mean? Because he's kind of playing both sides against it. Because he's a coward.
He's a cowardly old man that you as a young girl want nothing to do with that dude. He's nice to you, but he's also in love with you. But you can't trust him.
Yeah.
And then...
he, roofies her.
Yeah, but then eventually...
With a peach.
Eventually, she does kind of work out a situation with him, though. She manipulates him for a while. But then they do become... The friend zone. They do become friends, I guess. And then Jareth makes fun of him for even thinking that she could, care about him. There's old man lessons there, too.
See, everyone can learn something from
there's old man
movie.
lessons there.
Well, I feel obviously a big thing that this was based on was Wizard of Oz. It's the same kind of story.
Same kind of idea.
Dorothy Gale, she's, in her house and she's like, oh, my life is so boring. I live in this stupid farm in Kansas and I don't like my family, blah, blah, blah. Then she gets whisked off to this magical land with witches and munchkins and whatnot. And the lesson there, and, meets three dudes, just like in this movie, that are, represent different personality traits or things that she needs.
Yeah, the foxy little dude that's all bark and no bite. You can talk his ass off, but just
Sir
can't
Didymus.
help. The other one's a big old... Ludo, a big, monstrous, super strong guy who's just dumb, friendly.
Although he can control rocks.
He can control rocks.
So that's pretty rad.
But she didn't want to go out with him. She didn't want to go out with any of these guys. They're all supposed to be different options, I think, in a woman's life. And, that's what they're supposed to represent.
All the Mr. Wrongs.
They're all bad. They're all bad, yeah.
But good for friendship, because they have other, qualities that you like.
Yeah, but these don't have much to do with directly giving you that baby she's chasing for in the very end. That's how I interpret
They
this.
can't give you the baby.
You don't want the baby with them. That's what
Who knows how that's going to turn out.
That's the message I get.
What would a human Ludo baby look like?
It's just all the possibilities that a young woman confronts.
It's a minefield out there,
ladies.
ladies.
Minefield. It's a whole labyrinth. Yeah.
But yeah, so this is obviously influenced a lot by Wizard of Oz. Like I said, the message of Wizard of Oz, it was kind of more telling girls, oh, don't go seeking happiness or fortune elsewhere. Home. Just stay home.
Yeah, just stay
Which
home.
I didn't really realize at the time, but now the more I think about it, I'm like, yeah, they're kind of just be happy where you are. Just shut up. Know your place.
Those were the values of the time, though.
Yeah, so that's why. But this was also influenced a lot, so much so that there was almost a lawsuit about it by the book, Maurice Sendak's book, Outside Over There, which also had a girl whose baby sister was taken by goblins and kind of a similar thing happened. And actually his estate kind of threatened. It was like, hey, can you not work on that movie because it's just like my book, but they came to an agreement.
Paid him off.
Yeah, they paid him off, and actually at the end of it, at the end of Labyrinth, like Jim Henson had a message on there, like crediting him because I guess that's kind of where
the
they
story
got
must have been similar. Maybe there was some inspiration from there. So
yeah, I mean the thing is, I don't know. Like it's been a long time since I read that book, so I don't know if it's exactly so. Like I don't know if there's a labyrinth in it or anything like that. I mean, yeah, there's like a goblin steals a baby, but I mean goblins in mythology steal babies. I mean that's what they do, and that's kind of where Brian Froud got the idea when they were talking about. Because he said the whole image that he had in his head that was like the inspiration for this. Because like I said, they'd been working on the Dark Crystal, and they said, we want to do something like a bit lighter, more fun, something with a couple of human characters, you know, and more interaction with the puppets, and something that's just like not so heavy. So he had the idea of a baby, like a human baby, like surrounded by a bunch of goblins. And he thought that was a really cool idea. And he's like, yeah, goblins, they steal babies in mythology. So then he kind of like wrote a story. Like I said, the story went through like a bunch of different iterations before it got to the form that it was in. I think actually one of the early ones, and I thought this was kind of interesting, but Jareth comes to Sarah's house like under a glamour. Like he's the author of a play that she's going to be in, because you know she's doing the play at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And he shows up at the house, and she doesn't ask him to take the baby. He just takes it anyway.
Yeah, in the movie.
So he's like a bad guy.
In the movie, he just shows up in the form of an owl.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but he doesn't take. He does take the baby.
She asks him to take the baby.
He does take the baby, but I think it's just the goblins that take the baby under his command, right? She turns around, the baby's gone.
Yeah, they don't show, because, you can hear like all the little goblins. Yeah. But like I said, and I think it's interesting, too, like the whole thing about... Now, see, I'm going to say right here, and I know there's a lot of different theories about this and everything, I think that the whole movie takes place in Sarah's imagination.
Well, of course.
Because all of the stuff, like all of the characters that she meets, including Jareth, and including like all of her little buddies... She has like little stuffed toys or like little models of them in her room.
She's got a little doll of Jareth right there near her.
By her mirror.
And a lot of the little characters there.
And I think there's a picture on her mirror of David Bowie too.
Yeah, it's kind of a... I always interpreted it as this is something that's playing out in her subconscious to resolve all these issues.
To resolve the issues, sure.
That she has. And you're going on this trip with her inside her inner mind, seeing these fantasies.
Yeah, so I don't think the baby really got kidnapped or anything like that. I think that was like her kind of working out her issues and like coming. Yeah, it's like a symbolic story, like a symbolic journey. It's not. The
movie is a great date movie. Jenny and I watched it, and in this format right here. Okay, we have a good sound system, good television and shit.
We were singing along to all the songs.
We were singing along to the songs, drinking.
Magic dance.
Exactly. Actually, that song. What was the name of those characters? The
Fireys or the Fire.
The Fireys. Yeah. I was.
That song's called Chilly Down, I think.
Chilly Down. I always wondered what that was, but I can see it now. They're fighting over who's going to give whose head, and can you take somebody's head from them? And
you can give someone head. See?
Give a head. Yeah.
Everything's a sexual.
Everything was an innuendo. But what that whole scene was it was about hedonism.
Yeah.
Because remember, she was like tempted by hedonism, but says, "Oh, this is just stupid." And
then because they didn't worry about anything.
They didn't worry about it. They were aimless.
And they had Jamaican accents.
Jamaican accents. Yeah.
So I think they're just like a bunch of potheads that are like laying around on the beach. I think that's why they gave them Jamaican
out in the woods, giving each other head around the fire.
Yeah, that's what they were
taking head and getting head from each other. And they says, her head doesn't come off. Yeah. Of course it doesn't.
Of course it doesn't. She says she gets all like.
They're trying to offer her head, this head. And really, you
like I said,
you have to
giving head, balls.
Yeah. It's not real obvious. A kid doesn't know.
Not to a kid, I guess.
To a kid, we wouldn't, but an adult sees it and goes, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Although, like I said, I mean, watching the movie now, it's very, very clear that they were trying to focus on David Bowie's area.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there are some shots in there where there's like he's talking to Hoggle or something, and it's just right there. It's like right there.
This is because of the nature of the story.
Yeah.
All right. That character is a phallic character.
Oh yeah.
And they're making it clear that they're making it clear in cinematography that this is about sex.
Yeah.
And that this dude is sexually threatening.
Yeah. Like I said, they really. That's why I think he was perfect for this role, because you can see how you would be tempted by that kind of stuff. Because he's, like I said, some super foxy rock star shows up in your house.
Yeah.
It's like,
Now,
well,
when I
I'm
was
going to
in
take the baby and, you know.
When I was in high school, every 15, 16-year-old girl that saw this, I think they knew what it was about. Mm-hmm. They knew what it was about. Because we were tapping all that back in those days anyway.
Well, yeah.
Old people fucking were getting down back in the 80s. We were getting down, I call them, they're old now, but no, in the 80s, it was, in the 80s, you know, we were fucking blowing the doors off of it. It was a very different high school. I'm reading now that these young kids now, they're in high school and even out, they're not having much sex anymore.
Although I heard they were even worse in the 70s.
Oh, yeah,
actually, they were probably worse in the 50s and the 60s.
Probably.
They just didn't talk about it as much.
Yeah, just didn't talk about it. Yeah, it's evidently young people are not very active today. They're kind of scared. But back in the day, we weren't scared.
Yeah.
We weren't scared, no.
I know.
No, indeed.
Well, and like I said, we didn't even have the internet. You just had to, like, figure shit out for yourself.
Man.
Or look
I could tell stories. I'm not going to tell stories, but, you know, we had drive-ins. And drive-ins were like fucking motels.
Well, yeah, that was the whole point. Bouncing. Nobody ever watched the movie.
You could fucking yell 3 cars down, your boy and his girlfriend be in the other car, and you're like, yeah! And then, like, you know, sometimes, you know, you and your girl be in the front, and your boy and his girlfriend be in the back seat. You'd be high-fiving each other across the fucking back of the seats. The girls would be talking, passing cigarettes and shit. Let your imagination run wild.
I don't know. You filled that in pretty well.
Yeah. I wasn't real explicit about it.
But yeah, like I said, I think everybody, and, you know, probably girls that age that watch this nowadays.
Yeah.
Because I have heard, you know, obviously because, you know, I'm of an age now where, you know, where I know people that have daughters that are about, you know, that are preteens or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've known a couple of people that showed their daughters this at that age, and they got it right away.
They understood it right away.
Yeah, so, like I said, it's not...
It's polite about it, but you do...
It's like I said, it's still a family movie. It's like you don't have to, like, cover anyone's eyes or anything like that, but...
It's for kids, kind of.
It's... Yeah. But it is subtle, and it is a very, very sexual story. It's a sexual awakening is what it is.
Yeah.
So...
Told to you in a very G-rated way.
In a G-rated way, yeah. But
actually, like not G-rated, maybe PG, because...
I think this might be rated PG now.
There are some things that Bowie says. He goes... I mean, you know, no one can blame you for walking away. No, what he says, too much protection and no love injection.
That's right. He does say love injection.
Love injection. Too much protection and not enough love injection.
Like I said, everything in this is a sexual.
It's a sexual reference, and that's as the story's opening.
Yeah,
they're protecting that girl too much. Not enough love injection. Damn.
She's not getting any David Bowie injection.
Well, that's why she didn't want to babysit. She's had enough of this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're holding her back from that love injection.
I guess so.
Yeah.
That's what, you know.
You couldn't tell this story today.
I don't know.
I don't think you could tell the story today.
It's like, I don't know, man. It's like kind of like, in a way, I kind of like, Jennifer Connelly was really good in this because
like hell. Down in the underground.
God, everything's like, it's so funny because like watching it now, I'm like, holy crap, it's so dirty.
Yeah.
But fun, dirty in a fun way. It's like Muppets, but also dirty.
Yeah.
And like I said,
you have to pay attention to get it.
Yeah, and like I said, we're not the first people to say this because there's like fucking... There's like that fucking fan fiction site, like that big fanfiction.net or whatever it is. It's got like 8,000 fucking stories about Labyrinth on there. Yeah. I'm sure almost all of them have to do with...
Well, that's not a big stretch. That's not a big leap, though, at all.
No, that's what I mean. It's pretty much just hanging right out there for you.
Pretty much.
You know what I mean?
Look at David Bowie's pouty ass. He got his fucking pouty face on. Motherfucker gonna pout.
Like I said, I think he was like really the best choice for this. Just because, I mean, David Bowie in pretty much every other role he was in, he seemed like not from here. Like he seemed like otherworldly. That's why they put him in The Man Who Fell to Earth. Yeah. And The Hunger, he was a vampire.
Especially in his time. I mean, you know, we go to the clubs today, though, you know what I mean? We know a lot of people that are like that.
Yeah, but, you know, at the time...
Yeah, at the time, he stood out.
Yeah, there was nobody like that. And honestly, I still don't think there's anybody like that. I don't think there ever will be, ever again.
He was breaking into virgin territory, so to speak. You know what I'm talking
That
about?
also sounded.
Yeah, yeah. Because no
a 14-year-old girl.
Not much. There weren't many guys like that, you know, back in those days. That, especially at his age, he had younger guys emulating him.
Yeah.
But he was already in his 40s, so back in the 70s, he was doing cool shit.
Well, yeah.
Although, you know, a lot of people don't know this. David Bowie faked it until he made it, really. He wasn't famous until
That's what you got to do.
Yeah, he wasn't really famous until like 84.
He just acted famous.
Yeah. Yeah, when that List Dance album came out, that's when he got famous.
Yeah, I mean, I had heard of him before that, obviously, because
he was like an underground guy.
Yeah, that was very alternative
right, yeah.
back then. That would be like you listen to that and like Iggy Pop and the Velvet Underground.
When that Let's Dance album came out,
that was a huge.
Fuck, man, it was just all over MTV.
I know. I swear to God, that video was on every 5 minutes.
Yeah, Let's Dance over and over again, and Cat People.
And I love David Bowie, but I got so fucking sick of that video.
Modern Love.
Yeah.
That's like a song. And that's what really made him the man that we remember today.
Yeah.
That album. And that album was a fantastic album. Stevie Ray Vaughan did guitar on that.
Yeah.
Man, it was a good album.
Not my favorite of his, obviously, but...
I actually think Scary Monsters was my favorite of his.
I think Low is my favorite.
Low is good, too, yeah. But he didn't have a bad album.
No, I don't think I've ever heard a bad album from him.
Glass Spider was not a strong album, but even that had at least 3 or 4 good songs.
Yeah, I remember that being alright.
It was okay.
But yeah, so, as I said, if you have not seen Labyrinth from 1986, what the fuck is the matter with you? Because you need to see it. It's Muppets and David Bowie.
Yeah.
And all kind of, like, sexual innuendos.
And the movie is extremely drinkable. I mean, you know, if you're drinking it...
You can sing along.
Especially if you kind of have nostalgia for the era. And it looks great. On Blu-ray, it looks fantastic, unparalleled. I didn't know the movie looked that good until the other day when we saw it. I'd only seen it on VHS.
Yeah, well, and you can watch it over and over because just, like, look at all the fucking puppets and shit in the background, man, because there's all kind of shit going on in the background.
And the riddles, I don't really understand every riddle in it.
Yeah. Oh, well, the one, like, about where the 2 doors and one of them leads to certain death and stuff.
Yeah.
That's a pretty common riddle, though. Like, I've seen different versions.
And then the other one about asking who and who tells the truth and who lies. I still don't really
That's, like I said, that's a pretty common, like, logic puzzle. I ran into a lot of those back in the old days. But, yeah, so that's why when I saw that in the movie, I was just kind of like, oh, I know the answer to that. Because I had done, like, some other ones like that.
But there were other little riddles in there. I don't really remember them offhand. I have to watch it again. There was some of them that I didn't quite get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to say,
there was some stuff that Jareth said that was kind of slick that I didn't really quite get. I had to watch it again.
Yeah, because
I've really only seen this movie like 3 times.
I mean, this is a really good, like I said, it's, you know, Terry Jones from Monty Python. I mean, he wrote the script, even though he said, well, like so many other people, like, did versions of it that he doesn't really feel like it's just exclusively his anymore. But it has a lot of his trademark kind of, you know, wit in it.
Yeah.
I feel like. That's it. You know what? We should do... I don't know why I just thought of this, but it's just thinking of Monty Python. We should do Time Bandits.
Yeah.
I love that fucking movie.
I don't think I've seen it.
You haven't seen
I've seen bits
Time
of
Bandits?
it. I've seen bits of it. I don't think I've seen the whole thing.
Oh my god. David Warner is in it.
We'll see it.
It's fucking great.
I want to revisit Brazil, too.
Yeah, that is also
there's a bunch of other ones I want to revisit.
We have so many movies we have to do, you guys.
And another thing is I will vouch for the soundtrack, or I will vouch for the score on Labyrinth. The music is fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really good.
Because I think Bowie did 5 songs, because he wrote that Chilly Down song, too, that the Fireys do, even though he doesn't sing it.
Yeah.
But,
not just the Bowie songs, everything on it.
Yeah, but he does the other 4 songs, and then, like, the rest of the score is also fantastic.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this is
So you could be kind of drinking Kugelkan, you're drinking, you know, which that's... In case you guys don't know me, Kugelkan is the tequila drink I drink. But you can sit there and drink tequila, and just every bit of that score, it was pulling me into the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I was pulled into it.
And I've seen...
Even though it's not serious, it's fun. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
You know, I was pulled into it.
Like I said, it's got serious messages.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's pretty fun, like, just the way she goes through the...
I like to decipher mythology, and there's a lot of stuff in there. I need to see it again.
Yeah, they used a lot of... I mean, he pulled from, like, a lot of different sources, you know, admittedly. Yeah. But, yeah, so, like I said, if you haven't seen it, you've got little tween girls that haven't seen it, they would probably
They would
dig
love
it.
that shit.
I mean, you
David
know,
Bowie's package.
it's not the 80s anymore, but I don't know what tween girls are into nowadays.
I think the movie's kind of in its own time because it's a fairy tale.
Yeah, it is kind of timeless in its own way. And I think it's one of the best, if not the best, fantasy from that time. Because I love Legend.
Yeah.
I mean, mostly because of Tim Curry, obviously, being darkness.
Legend was a pretty movie. I didn't like the movie that much.
I didn't like Tom Cruise in it.
Really? I've only seen that movie once, and
He annoys me generally.
I saw it in the movie theater when it came out.
I think I did too.
With high school friends, and girls were with us. And I remember being blown away by the visuals.
It is gorgeous. It's very sparkly.
But I didn't like the movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of vapid. And
there
wasn't much to it.
Slightly, but I can see what you're saying. I mean, it doesn't have like a huge amount of story to it. It's just it's a very simple fairy tale.
Right. From that same era, you know what I liked better? The Last Temptation of Christ. And that had David Bowie in it.
Yeah.
Remember
Willem
that?
Dafoe was in that too.
Yeah, and shit went down between me and the girl I was dating and Steve and his girl. You know what I was talking about?
Oh, so there was like an orgy.
There was some shit going down. Yeah. That movie had baggage.
So now you think of that.
You
guys were having an orgy during the Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Of course, man. Me and Steve identified.
Not the Passion of the Christ. That's not what we're talking about.
Me and my buddy Steve were friends to this day. He came over and visited us about a year ago. Mm-hmm. And we had our Christ union moment where the Spirit of Christ descended upon us.
Oh my God!
And we became God men, kind of like in India where they have God men. You know what I'm talking about? Kind of like a Jedi. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, during that movie.
That's just very funny to me that would be something you guys would be watching.
Yeah, and I was dating Cheryl, who was his ex-girlfriend.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it was me and his old girlfriend and his new girlfriend, like a flow chart. And she was a redhead. She was a redhead, and she was just as endowed as you. She was a boob girl. You know, that was the beginning of my fixation with.
He has a boob fixation.
The big boob fixation. It's not a fixation. It's a healthy respect. It's a healthy respect in animation.
Nice. I like the way you put that.
And you're a redhead too.
I am.
Yeah.
So. People probably don't know that, but naturally I'm a redhead. I've been dyeing it black for a long time just because it's easier. But although I was thinking the other day that I might go back, because for a while, if you've seen like old pictures of me, like from 2 or 3 years ago, I had it like bright red, and I was thinking maybe I should go back to it. It's a pain in the ass like to maintain because it fades really quick, but I had to dye it like every week. But I kind of miss it.
Yeah.
I might go back to that shit. We'll see. But yeah, watch Labyrinth.
Yeah, oh yeah, you can't go wrong with it.
Also, seriously, make a drinking game out of it. Yeah. Every time David Bowie's junk shows up on screen, take a shot. You will die of liver failure before the movie is over.
It is a well executed movie, very well handcrafted by masters. It's a very well written movie on all levels in terms of like musically, how the story flows, man. And also like the mythological content of the movie, everything. Yeah, it's just a very good movie of its type. Yeah, very good.
And like I said, Muppets. Everybody loves the fucking Muppets. Yeah. If you don't love the Muppets, get out.
Actually, these Muppets are proof that CG ain't all that.
Well, yeah.
I mean, this movie could not be done with CG and get that same.
It just wouldn't.
It would not be right.
It wouldn't be the same.
No.
It just really wouldn't. But yeah, so, check it out. And that'll do it for this movie retrospective. And like I said, we're not going to do the little ending thing anymore. Just go to our Patreon.
You guys know it. Yeah.
Do what you do.
Help us out on Patreon. Send us some taffy.
Then he does it anyway.
Do whatever you want. You got the deal.
Or the fudge. That was good.
Yeah, subscribe, share, like.
Yeah, that actually helps more than anything. Just give us a little thumbs up, share
thumbs
it with
up,
people
share it,
who think who you think would like it and stuff like that. So we will see you next time. Bye.